I feel like with every project you always learn something, and with this cardigan I got a little bit stuck at the button band. I feel like picking up stitches for a button band always involves a little bit of guesswork. In this case, the pattern instructs you to pick up and knit just a set number of stitches. For my size, it was 59 stitches. I knew that mine was going to have to be a little different since I did add a little bit of length. So I wanted to do a little calculating to make sure that my button band would lay nicely. And there's just a little bit of math involved in that, so I'll try to explain that briefly. If you want to read a lot about picking up button bands and calculating and ratios, I know that Kelburn Woolens has a nice post about all the details on getting it just right. The general rule is when you are picking up stitches, you want to pick up 3 out of every 4 stitches. Basically, our stitches when we're knitting are not perfectly square. They tend to be shorter and wider, and that's why when you have a gauge swatch, your stitch count and your row count are different to reach that 4 inches. So when you knit most of the sweater this way and then go to pick up stitches that are facing 90 degrees different, they're not going to fit exactly correctly if you pick up one stitch for every row as you go up the whole button band. So the general rule is to pick up 3 of every 4, and that way you won't have too many stitches. It won't kind of buckle and ruffle a little bit with too many stitches in there. But I wasn't quite sure if that's what Kate Davies had done in her original pattern, so I kind of reverse engineered a little bit of what she did to figure out if that's the general thing that I should do too. So what I did is I looked at the schematic for the cardigan and I figured there was a measurement for the yoke depth of 8 inches and then a measurement of the underarm to the bottom hem also of 8 inches. So I figured Kate Davies was assuming I'd have about 16 inches of button band length to pick up. Mine was 17 since I had added that extra inch. And then she tells you to pick up 59 stitches. I figured based on the gauge, she was probably assuming I would have about 80 rows. 20 stitches for 4 inches in rows, stretched out over 16 inches would be 80 rows. 59 into 80 is almost exactly 3 out of every 4. So I was pretty confident that she was actually sticking with the general rule of picking up every 3 of 4 stitches. So that's what I went ahead and did. I ended up with a few more because of that extra length I had added, but I think it turned out just fine. Lays pretty well. So that's just a little hint if you feel like giving yourself that extra confidence before you go and pick up all those fiddly stitches.